As you know, there are very serious investigations going on into equally serious matters, both by IBAC and Victoria Police. I don't propose to run a commentary or in any way cut across that important work. That needs to be done without fear or favour, at arm's length from the government, and I'm simply not going to comment on matters that could jeopardise that process being run properly. She has resigned. Rob and Scott resigned yesterday. They both issued statements. I'd refer you to those statements, and I believe they've both made the appropriate decision.
Did you ask her to go?
No, she made her own decision, and I would refer you to the statement that she's issued.
Did you have a conversation with her before she came?
I haven't spoken with her today.
Are you disappointed with her?
After they both gave you assurances yesterday morning, there's nothing to see here.
No, Rich, what I would do is I'd refer you to the statements where they both make commentary about the way they have behaved and their view of the way they've behaved, and the fact that they look forward to the investigative process dealing with these matters, and just as I do. These are very serious issues and they need to be treated seriously, and they have been by me and my team, and Victoria Police and IBAC, I'm certain, will look at these matters thoroughly.
Why did she resign today?
Well, again, she's issued a statement, and the timing of her statement, the content of her statement is entirely a matter for her. I'm not going to be interpreting that for you, nor am I going to be pretending to be a spokesperson for her. What I'm doing is I'm referring you to the statement that she has issued.
Sounds like you're really trying to distance yourself. Like, why not?
Well, Simon, how it sounds, that's a matter for you. What I'm saying to you is just as a matter of fact. These are serious issues. They are being investigated by IBAC, by Victoria Police. I simply will not cut across that process. I have faith in that process and I'm committed to that process. Ministers have made decisions. They have issued statements. Those statements speak to why they made those decisions, and I'll leave it to others to interpret that as they see fit.
How embarrassing! 3 cabinet ministers gone in 25 hours.
Well, that's not the issue for me. The issue for me is, have people done the appropriate thing, and I believe they have.
But you're not embarrassed by this fact that this is
Simon, I think I've answered.
A significant portion of your cabinet is
So I
gone
think,
within the space of 25 hours.
Simon, I am focused on doing our job, and those sorts of issues are not a concern to me. What is of a concern, though, is that we have these matters appropriately investigated and dealt with, and that we get on and do the important work that we have to do. That work includes the national executive of our party facilitating a restructure of our party, some substantial and meaningful reform, so that we can deal with the very serious issues that the party confronts.
Do you think she's completely fooled you and lied to you?
No.
I asked you multiple times yesterday what she said to you as if it was to the press gallery, and you said she assured me, she promised me she did nothing wrong. Clearly she has, so how is that?
Well, Samaya, with the greatest of respect, it's not for you or me to determine whether she's done right or wrong. She has no. That
what has been revealed today. So do you think she's lied?
But again, if I can just be as respectful as possible, I'm not here to have an argument with you in any way, but it's not for me or for anyone here to determine those matters. Those matters are appropriately the subject of referrals to IBAC and to Victoria Police, and it's for them to determine those issues. I faithfully reported to you the answer to the question that I was given by both those ministers. They have reflected upon their position, they have resigned, they have issued statements, and I would refer you to those statements.
Do you feel let down by her?
Look, I'm not going to be a commentator on these things. You can make your own judgments about the statement, about these issues. I'd much rather be focused exclusively on working hard for the people of Victoria, and I look forward to getting on and doing the things that we need to do. And there is, with these decisions that have been taken, that's exactly what we'll do.
With all due respect, though, the only way you can actually, you had 3 ministers, or at least 2 ministers, who were involved deep in ransacking, not working for the Victorian community. Sorry, how can the rest of that?
Those 3 ministers are gone.
Exactly.
That's right. Those 3 ministers are gone.
They had been in cabinet for at least the last 6 years. Somyurek, obviously, with the period out of the cabinet. How do we know that there aren't other ministers also involved in this industrial scale of stacking?
Again, Samaya, you've got a series of issues that have been put forward. They have all of them in their totality been referred to IBAC and Victoria Police, and that investigation will go wherever it goes. That's at arm's length from the Victorian government, and they will do their work, and it will travel wherever it travels. The notion that this is something that the government is doing, or something that is proximate to the government, or an internal review, I'm challenging that. This is an external process run by organisations that have the power and the will to do it properly, and they will. And we'll wait and see what the outcomes of that are.
So is the clear difference in why Adem Somyurek, you sacked him yesterday because of his language as opposed to the branch statement, which now 2 ministers have resigned on?
Well, again, I'd refer you to the statements that the 2 ministers have issued, and I don't think it's very difficult to see there's very clear differences in the conduct of Adem Somyurek and others. It is in some respects unique.
Is the clear difference, though, and the motivating factor for you sacking Adem Somyurek as opposed to not trying to sack the other 2 ministers, his language?
Well, they have made commitments about the fact that they have behaved appropriately. They've issued statements, and I'd refer you to those statements where they remain of the view that they have behaved appropriately and are confident that they will be exonerated through that investigative process. The two things are not the same, and on that basis, I think a comparison between the action I took against Mr Somyurek and the decisions that those 2 ministers have made, you're free to make that comparison if you want, but I think that reading the statements that Robin Scott and Marlene Kairouz have issued clears that matter up.
Having read what you've read in The Age today and seen what you saw on 60 Minutes on Sunday night, how can you conclude that those ministers have acted appropriately, former ministers?
But what their resignations, Rachel, do is they have essentially they maintain that they've done nothing wrong. They have resigned from the cabinet and gone to the backbench, and it is now a matter for IBAC and Victoria Police to ultimately determine that.
Do you maintain that they've done nothing wrong?
I refer you to the statements that they have made. They've made a statement. They have been very clear about the fact that they believe they've done nothing wrong. They've both resigned from the cabinet. I support that decision. It's the right decision to take. And the Victoria Police and IBAC, they will be the ultimate arbiters of whether their contention that they've done the right thing is an accurate one or not. That won't be that will not be a position. That will not be a judgment that I make. Again, I just refer you to the statements. They've made commitments to me. I sought those commitments. They have reiterated their positions. And if you want to know more about why they have that confidence or other thinking that might have been part of the decisions that they've made, then you've really got to speak to them. That's not a matter that I can speak to.
What do you say to Victorians who now say, well, as leader, you weren't able to either know about these claims or act on them sooner? 3 ministers have now gone. What do you say to the Victorians who might be sceptical now about your ability to not only lead the party but lead the state?
Oh, well, I've got a job to do, and we are all focused on getting on and getting things done, and nothing will deter me from that.
Are you confident that no other ministers are using taxpayer-funded staff to further their own political interests?
I am. Again, there is a Victoria Police and IBAC process. It is broad and wide-ranging, and I'm not going to cut across any work that they may do, and that involves, I suppose, if you like, making statements that might limit the focus of their investigation. It will take them wherever it takes them, and that's the appropriate thing.
Is that investigation?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. That I can't answer that question. I don't believe so. If I was confident that they were dealing with the matter already, then I wouldn't have had the Attorney General refer it. So it's been referred. But as to what they were doing on any matter, I stress on any matter, they're not in the habit of telling anyone often the work that they're doing. That's the nature of their work.
If these two ministers are
I'm not going to speculate on the future because, again, that's something that, again, once we start getting into that sort of territory, then I'm essentially running a commentary on a very serious investigation, and an investigation that should run its course at arm's length from the government.
So who's coming into cabinet?
I'll make some announcements about that later on in the week.
Despite the IBAC and Victoria Police investigation, you saw assurances from both Marlene Kairouz and Robin Scott that they did the right thing.
Yes.
Will you also seek similar assurances from the rest of your parliamentary team?
Well,
That's not, if it's cutting across IBAC and the Victoria Police investigation, you've asked Marlene and Robin.
well, no, hang on a minute, Smile. Let's just go back to first principles here. There was a story on Sunday night there were articles yesterday, I felt that it was appropriate to seek assurances from those two ministers. Most others may have a different view, but I thought it was appropriate, given what was reported, given what was said in video and on other phone calls and things of that nature, that it was appropriate to seek from them an assurance. They gave the assurance. They've issued a statement today, yesterday and today, that reconfirms essentially that they believe they've done nothing wrong, but they have resigned, and I support that decision.
You announced yesterday that Danny Pearson was going to be local government minister.
Yes.
A bit of a glitch there, but is that still the case?
I'll have more to say about portfolio allocations later in the week.
His wife is a local councillor. Is it appropriate for him to be local government minister in those circumstances?
Again, I think that the minister would be able to manage any and all perceived conflicts across any portfolio. He's a outstanding member of our team. I'll have more to say about ministerial vacancies and the reallocation of portfolios soon.
What would the Labor intervention look like? What's going to happen?
Rich, I know there's significant interest in this. I'm not at a point where I can make detailed announcements about that. I have been speaking with Anthony Albanese overnight, and I'll have more to say about that soon. But there is a significant issue here that we need to deal with, and we will, and that will involve the national executive being involved in delivering a restructure, and then it will be for us here in Victoria to get on and make the reform that is very, very important.
What does that restructure look like? Is there going to be suspension for some time of membership of local votes because we just don't know which members are who?
Well, again, it's probably best if I wait until I can give you a full and detailed account of those matters. We're still talking about those things, but no one should underestimate my resolve to deal with these issues properly and to make sure that we make really significant reform.
What did you make of Minister Marlene Kairouz?
Sorry?
What did you make of Minister Marlene Kairouz, or former ministers Kairouz and Somyurek meeting in their ministerial offices to discuss branch stacking conditions?
Well, what I'd say to you again is IBAC and Victoria Police will look at those matters. That may well be central to the work that they do, and I'm just not going to run a commentary on that.
Do you think it's appropriate, speaking in general terms, that two ministers just meet in their ministerial room?
Again, with respect, I don't think that it's appropriate to be straight after talking about a very specific case to then answer a very general question, which will be used as an answer to the very specific, which I think you understand I'm not in a position to go into that detail. I don't think any of us want a situation where Victoria Police and IBAC are in any way inhibited by anything any of us say or do to get on and do their important work. That's why it's been referred to them, and they will do that work.
Would you like to see them three gone?
Sorry?
Would you like to see those three ministers
I support
gone?
the decisions that the two ministers who resigned made, and I am very firmly of the view that sacking Minister Somyurek yesterday was exactly the right thing to do.
For the very many people who don't observe these things as closely as this group does, perhaps, doesn't this just look like the government letting itself fall apart in the middle of a pandemic and an economic crisis?
Again, how things look and commentary people want to put on it, that's a matter for you guys. What I'm focused on is getting on and getting us through an unprecedented economic crisis with a plan for jobs and a big contribution to the national plan for jobs, getting through the pandemic in terms of the health response, and then making sure that we keep on building new hospitals and schools, continuing to build TAFE up to the best it's ever been, investing in road and rail, getting rid of dangerous and congested level crossings. It's a long list, it's a big program, and we will deliver it, be in no doubt about that.
Do you condemn and renounce any branch stacking?
I've been very clear about this. The party rules are there and they should be followed, Simon. It's very, very clear.
Fiona Patten said that the allegations about Adem Somyurek or the revelations about Adem Somyurek came as no surprise to her. Why was it seemingly such a surprise to every Labor MP?
Well, again, I haven't seen those comments, and I'm not in the habit of commenting on comments that I've not had an opportunity to review. I said to you yesterday, and I'll say it again, no one can watch that program on Sunday night and not be shocked.